Alright, welcome to the world of math. We're going to solve this particular problemo, this algebraic equation. It looks a little different than what you're used to because it has some parentheses in there. So the two operations that I see is subtraction within the parentheses and then multiplication existing with the 2/7 and the stuff inside the parentheses. So this one is a little different to solve just because, and I'm going to just solve it algebraically, because in order to get to the stuff on the inside of the parentheses, I'm going to need to get rid of this first, and then I'll be able to get to the subtraction inside there. So the first thing to think of is how we're going to get this multiplication by 2/7 to go away. So we need to do the inverse operation of multiplication, which happens to be, hopefully you're talking out loud, division. So we're going to take this quantity, 2/7 times the quantity x minus 4. And we're going to take this 2. And on both sides of the equation, we're going to divide by the number we want to go away from that quantity of x minus 4, which is, we want this to go away. So we're going to do the inverse of multiplication, which is division, and then divide by that number that we want to vanish. So as you can see, we did it to both sides of the equation to keep it equal. And now it's a matter of simplifying. So now this and this will go away because they're inverses of each other. A number divided by itself is just 1. So we're left with the quantity of x minus 4, which really we don't need the parentheses anymore because there's nothing on the outside anymore. Now over on the right, we're going to need to do this division. And you know how to do this division. You don't have to freak out. You have a fraction. So what are you going to have to do with that 2? Make it a fraction. And divide by that fraction. Now can we divide straight across without getting a decimal? Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 divided by 7 is not 7. Because that's 1 divided by 7, which is going to be a decimal. So what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to keep, change, flip. Remember that? So I'm going to do it just right here, since I have some room, since I erased. So I'm going to keep 2/1, change it to multiplication, and flip, take the reciprocal of that other fraction. So now when I multiply across, I will get 14/2, which is improper. When I divide that, 14 divided by 2 is 7. Well, that's pretty nice. So there we have it. So on both sides, we divided by 2/7, and when we did, 2 divided by 2/7 is 7. And now we're one step away to get what x is. So we need the minus 4 to go away and vanish. So how do we do that? Well, so the x minus 4, when you do the opposite inverse of subtraction by 4, which is addition by 4. So what are we going to do to that 7? Same thing, addition by 4. So we perform the same thing to both sides. And now when we simplify, we have opposites happening here, so those just go away, and we'll be left with x. So now I just get x, which is what I want. And then here, 7 plus 4 is 11. And now we got what x is worth. We know the value of x to make that original equation true. So let's go back to the original equation. The original equation was 2/7 times the quantity of x minus 4 equals 2. And we want to now actually check and see if this actually works. We want that moment of joy. So that 11, I'm going to plug it in for x right here. So I'm going to have 2/7 times the quantity of not x, but 11, what we think it is. And we're questioning it. Is that going to equal 2? So order of ops, I'm going to start inside the parentheses. 11 minus 4 gives me 7. So now I have 2/7 times 7, and I'm questioning it. Is that going to be 2? So when I multiply with fractions, here's a fraction. I'm going to make 7 into a fraction. Multiply across. 14 over 7, questioning it to be 2. 14 divided by 7 is 2. So we end up having the left side equaling the right side, and that is where we have our moment of joy. Alright, I'm going to have you try one on your own here, and it's going to be very similar to the one we just did. So let's try 13 equals 5/9 times the quantity of x minus 32. If you're feeling really confident, you could pause the video, try the first step, and then play the video, but don't go too far into the problem all the way to the end, because you might make a little mistake right there at the beginning. Okay, first off, boom, bada boom. That's the easy part. Now this time I have my x on the right side, so if that's totally messing you up, you can switch it around and put the 13 on the right and put this stuff on the left if that's going to mess you up. I'm just going to keep working the way it is. So I see I have those parentheses, so I'm going to need to, in order to get inside there and get to the x, I'm going to have to get rid of this 5/9. And right now it's being multiplied. So I'm going to take 5/9 times quantity of x minus 32, and I'm going to divide. I'm going to do the inverse of multiplying right there, which is division, by the number I want to vanish, which is 5/9. And then I'm going to do the same thing with 13. I'm going to scoot it over, and I'm going to take 13 divided by that same thing, 5/9. So I divided on both sides. And now this will cancel with that because we have inverse operations, and I'll just be left with x minus 32. Now over here, a little more complicated, and we worked through this before, so I'm going to work through it on the next page. 13 divided by 5/9, I'm going to make this a fraction. If I divide across, I'm going to get a decimal, so I'm going to keep, change, flip. And now, when I multiply across, well, 1 times 5 is easy. 13 times 9, I don't know that off the top of my head. So I just did that multiplication right there. And I'm at 117 over 5, which is super improper, but you know what? I'm not done with the problem yet, so I'm just going to keep it as is. So 117 over 5. And now one more step to get x alone. I need to get rid of this minus 32. So in order to do that, I'm going to do the inverse of subtraction by 32, which is addition by 32. So I'm going to rewrite this thing. I had 117 over 5, leave some space, x minus 32, and what are we going to do? We're going to do the inverse, which is adding 32. If I do that to one side, I'm going to do it to the other side. So now I have opposites happening, and I'll just be left with x. On this side here, I can't add these yet because this is 32 over 1, and my denominators aren't the same. But I can make them the same. Multiply this one by 5 over 5 to get common denominators. And now I'll have a denominator of 5 with 117 plus 32 times 5, which is 160. And now when I add 117 and 160, I'm at 277 over 5. And now I have what x equals. Now at this point, I would convert it because I don't have anything left to do. So I'm going to take 277 divided by 5. Go ahead and try this division. And I'm going to go ahead and stop at that point. My dogs even get mad because this problem is lasting forever. So I'm at my time limit. So I have my mixed number of 55 and 2 minutes. There we have it.